Hey there, True Rest. I'm Dr. Dan Engle. I've been affiliated with True Rest going on close to a decade now. And I've enjoyed the opportunity to consistently be a part of this growing evolution in healthcare where we recognize as an industry of healthcare providers the benefit of flotation therapy across medical spectrums. So what I mean by that is across spectrums of mental health, chronic disease management, human performance and optimization. My background is in psychiatry, neurology, peak performance, regenerative medicine. My specialization is in traumatic brain injury recovery and neurologic rehabilitation, as well as psychedelic research and different esoteric wisdom traditions from intact medicine cultures. I remember my first float. I don't remember who suggested it to me or how it came across my radar, but I do remember the first floats almost like many other first experiences, your first roller coaster, your first kiss, your first time in medicine space, your first meditation retreat, like all the firsts have this novelty kind of experience. And I still remember the effect after my first float. I was in a Zen space for probably somewhere between 48 and 72 hours. And it was just beautiful in that it was the first time, as is with flotation therapy and being in a sensory deprivation pod, it's the first time that we're without environmental stimuli since conception. I mean, even when we're in the womb, there's still motion, there's still light, there's still vibration. When you're in a float pod, all of that sensory motor experience goes away. First of all, we have to have self-awareness. And once we have self-awareness, we can move into self-regulation. And then once we move into self-regulation, then we move into self-optimization, and then we move into self-realization. So it's this process. What are your strategies for self-regulation right now? Do you even know what that term means? Can we talk about self-regulation and help you start to gain some awareness of being able to track both your body and your mind when it gets into these old patterns and these just habituated neural networks around anxiety? And while we're understanding what that's related to, we can also help you with strategies and techniques to be able to lower that tendency and the spike of severity in that anxiety and stress response. I see flotation therapy as coming in at just the right time to be able to give us a practice to discharge and decompress all of the like cookies that are being added to our internal hard drive all the time, most of which are happening without our conscious awareness, unless we pay real clear, diligent focus on what's coming into the field. But most of the time it's just happening and we're just kind of like going on autopilot. And we live in a pretty stressful time and a pretty stressful culture. When people are stressed, they don't make effective decisions. And it's easy to get into a state of projection and blame and disempowerment. If I'm stable, if I'm centered, cancel clear, we'll put it in the present moment. When I'm stable and when I'm centered, I have the best opportunity to reclaim my personal authority and to recognize that nobody can do anything, quote unquote, to me unless my mind is allowing their experience to be projected into my state, and now I'm playing somebody else's game, so to speak. Start tuning in, start becoming more self-aware and self-responsible. Be responsible for our own attitude, our own mindset, our own physical state, our own emotional state. When we become more and more responsible, then we actually have the best opportunity to experience what we're all going for, which is happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction, contribution, peace, joy, love. We're all going for the same things. We can't get there unless we're responsible for our own process. So it's ever amazing timing that we have something like flotation therapy to help us discharge that chronic assault and come more and more effectively from a place of sympathetic overdrive, stress, fight or flight, into parasympathetic tone, rest, digest, assimilation, relaxation. And when we do this more and more consciously through practices like meditation, breath work, movement, calm, meditative, restorative movement practices, being mindful of our internal state of stress, and then be able to like switch it at will. But we have to be mindful of it first. One of the most effective ways to both be mindful of it and to start switching it is getting in the tank. And we can do that at will. And this is part of what self-regulation is about, is the willful action to be able to consciously orient one's nervous system towards a state of harmony or homeostasis, or essentially internal balance. And we do that consciously through regulation practices. Those practices could be things like breath work, visualization, progressive muscle relaxation, movement practices that bring a state of calm and peace. So this you describe in Chinese philosophy more like yin practices, like yin yoga, versus what yoga has become in the West, which is more like cardio fit exercise, as opposed to yoga classically being a practice of movement to prepare one for meditation. Floating has the opportunity to turn somebody inward. It's the grand accelerator of meditation, because there's no sight, there's no sound, there's no proprioception or sense of balance or gravity. And if the temperature is right, then there's this blending of where you experience yourself to end and the rest of the world to begin. When we in a tank, when we have the opportunity to relax and we have the opportunity to let go of the mind, and we just get better and better at that meditation practice, then vistas open up, and then it becomes really a part of the practice of self-discovery, of being able to sit like across from your own internal guidance system, your own internal level of deeper awareness, and actually start to ask active questions. This would be like an active meditation practice. So anytime a person's going into a new experience like that, there's an opportunity to really engage that from a level of mindfulness and meaningfulness, so to speak. And if it's a flotation experience, there is no other experience on the planet that I'm aware of where we are consciously outside of all environmental stimuli. The thing that jazzes me the most right now, and where I see this whole field, flotation therapy just being one small part, but an important one, this whole field of medicine is going. So we've moved from allopathic medicine to functional medicine, and now functional medicine is turning into transformational medicine. And we're actually cultivating a medical paradigm where people are able to, at will, choose to have a curated, supported, and safe transformational process. And through that process, we can see all of the downstream beneficial, quote unquote, side effects. This whole transformational movement in medicine has the opportunity to be the next evolution of our creative and collective potential. Medicine in this arena is just one aspect of what's happening to the culture at large. We're at this turning point and this opportunity, and all challenge is an opportunity, and crisis precedes transformation every time. So we're going through a destabilization where we recognize that much of what has happened in the healthcare arena has been helpful as far as acute care management. We're really good in triage care in the emergency room, in the operating room, but the allopathic medical system is really pretty lousy at preventative care and chronic care management. So how do we embrace the benefit and what allopathic medicine does well as now start to expand its array of services, so that it's not just a reductionistic model? We're not just talking about what's happening in the 3D as people are so hurried to try and get their own ego needs met, but they're still dissatisfied at the core aspect of their being. And when we bring in these hardware technologies that work on the brain and the body for healing and optimization, and we pair them with these software technologies that work on the mind and the soul, now you've got the best opportunity to upgrade the entire operating system. As a float industry, we are just at the inception point of understanding how we can expand such a deep inner personal experience into a community of related people, so to speak. If nothing else, we're related because we all love floating.